apologize with all my heart.
We are never, ever, ever getting back together.
Talk to Kody ever again.
Kody passed soon.
I'm not selling this land until everything is perfectly fair. Sorry.
The courtroom lights flicker against rows of tense faces. The air's so heavy you could cut it with a knife. Kody Brown sits forward, hands clenched, as the judge orders to release tapes no one was ever meant to see. Within minutes, the secret files are wheeled in marked raw. Untouched, carrying the power to destroy Kody Brown's empire forever. Do you believe hid these tapes on purpose? Or was this fate finally catching up with Kody? The morning begins unlike any other. Cameras flash, reporters lean forward, and whispers echo through the packed courtroom. Everyone knows today is different. Today, sealed vault will be cracked open. For years, rumors have swirled hidden seasons, lost audio, unaired footage. But no one expected the court to force hand. Kody shifts in her seat, her jaw tight. She doesn't flinch as the judge speaks, his tone sharp and final. You are hereby ordered to present the full unedited tapes, effective immediately. Robyn gasps, covering her mouth. Kody's head snaps toward his attorney, his eyes wild. This is happening, his lawyer mutters in defeat. The bailiff wheels in a cart stacked high with black cases, each labeled only with numbers. The room seems to shrink as Kody's lawyer rises calm, deliberate, like he already knows what's inside. Your Honor, he says, these tapes have been locked away for years. But today, we will hear the truth. Sometimes the evidence that destroys a man isn't a witness, it's his own voice. The first tape rolls. The screen flickers. Grainy images appear. It's raw footage from a late-night family meeting never aired on TV. The wives sit in a circle, their faces tight and exhausted. Kody paces in the background, ranting about money, land, and legacy. Then it happens. His voice cuts through the noise, sharp and damning. Robyn, once we move the deeds, they'll never see a penny. The family trust is ours now. Gasps ripple through the courtroom. Kody's eyes lock on Kody, unflinching. Janelle mutters, I knew it. Meri grips the edge of her seat, her knuckles white. Robyn stares at the screen in disbelief. Even the judge looks shaken. Mr. Brown, he says, are you denying that's your voice? Kody's lawyer stammers. This could be doctored. But Kody's lawyer cuts in, cold as ice. Your Honor, these are TLC's original master files. No edits, no cuts. The silence that follows is deafening. Kody sits straighter. Robyn hides her face. Kody looks like a man watching his empire crumble. Then another tape begins, footage from a private conversation in a car. The audio is rough, but the words are unmistakable. Kody's voice again, low and conspiratorial. Robyn, once this goes through, even Meri's name won't matter. She's nothing on paper. Meri inhales sharply, her eyes flooding with rage. You did this to me, she whispers. Robyn sobs openly, clutching tissues as journalists scribble furiously. The judge lifts a hand for silence, but even he struggles to mask his shock. When court breaks for recess, no one moves. The air feels heavier, thicker, as though the walls themselves are listening. Kody sits calm and focused, her eyes sharp as steel. Meri vibrates with fury, her lips pressed into a hard line. Janelle looks heartbroken, pale and reflective. Robyn seems shattered, whispering silent prayers as tears streak her face. Kody just stares ahead, stone-faced as if already defeated. When recess ends, the bailiff wheels the tapes back in. Kody's lawyer stands. Your Honor, what we're about to present isn't just evidence, it's the turning point of this case. The screen flickers again. The footage shows Kody and Robyn in a late-night conversation at a rental property, time-stamped 3 years ago. Kody's voice fills the room, arrogant and mocking. Kody doesn't get it. She keeps asking about her share, but once we flip the parcels, her name disappears. Same with Janelle and Meri. She thinks she's still on the D, jokes on her. Gasps erupt. Meri slams her hand on the table, hissing, "You bastard." Then Robyn's voice breaks through the tape. What if TLC finds out? What if they air this? Kody laughs, hollow and cruel. They won't. protects us. They're not about to risk their cash cow. The courtroom erupts in chaos. The judge bangs his gavel, demanding order, but the electricity in the air refuses to fade. The wives exchange looks of disbelief and fury. For the first time, it's clear Kody wasn't just lying to them. He was depending on TLC to cover for him. Christine allows herself a faint smirk. Not triumph, but vindication. She leans to her lawyer and whispers, "Play the next one." The screen fades to black. The silence is absolute. When betrayal isn't just personal but corporate, the truth carries the power to burn down empires. And as those tapes rolled on, one thing became clear: Kody Brown could no longer hide from the truth. The judge's gavel echoed through the courtroom, but the noise barely pierced the tension hanging in the air. Cameras flashed like lightning as whispers rippled through the crowd. The Brown family's darkest secrets were spilling out in real time. When the screen lit up again, the footage opened on a familiar setting: the Browns' old kitchen. The wives sat around the table, their faces drawn and weary. Kody stood at the head, arms crossed, the same stance that once commanded obedience. But now, under the sterile glow of the courtroom screen, it looked more like arrogance than authority. The footage crackled with the sound of paper rustling. Robyn's voice trembled. "Kody, I don't want to be the only one holding the papers," she said. "This doesn't feel right." Kody's reply was sharp, clipped, and cold. "It's already done, Robyn. The others can't handle this kind of responsibility. They'd just ruin everything." The wives in the courtroom exchanged glances. The betrayal written across their faces mirrored what the footage revealed. Janelle whispered, "So it was all planned." Meri shook her head, muttering, "He used all of us." On screen, Kody continued, his voice hard and unapologetic. "Christine keeps asking questions she doesn't understand. She's emotional. That's her problem. Business isn't about feelings." The gallery gasped. A woman in the back row covered her mouth. Even Robyn, sitting beside Kody in real life, looked like she wanted to disappear. The contrast between the tear-streaked woman in the courtroom and the complicit figure on the screen was heartbreaking. The judge leaned forward, his brow furrowed. "Mr. Brown, these recordings clearly indicate intent to defraud your partners. Do you wish to make a statement?" Kody didn't answer. His lawyer stood, stammering about context and editing, but no one seemed convinced. Christine's lawyer rose calmly. "Your Honor, the next file will clarify everything." The room fell silent as the next tape rolled, this time a recording from a TLC production meeting. The audio was faint, but clear enough. A producer's voice could be heard saying, "We can't air this. It'll destroy the brand." Another replied, "Kody's story sells." The rest are background. The implication hit like a bomb. TLC had known. They'd covered for him, choosing ratings over truth. The courtroom erupted once more, a storm of murmurs and outrage. Christine's face softened, not in forgiveness, but in relief. For years, she'd been called bitter, dramatic, disloyal. Now the proof was undeniable. She wasn't the villain of this story. She was the survivor. Janelle wiped tears from her eyes. Meri sat frozen, her jaw tight as she whispered, "They used all of us for money." The judge raised his gavel again. "Enough," he said firmly. "This court will take a recess while I review this material." He turned to the bailiff. "Secure the tapes." As the files were locked away, Kody slumped in his chair, the weight of exposure pressing down like a physical force. Robyn tried to reach for his hand, but he pulled away, his eyes glassy, distant. For the first time, he wasn't in control, and he knew it. Christine stood, smoothing her jacket. The camera lights followed her as she walked out of the courtroom with quiet dignity. Reporters shouted her name, but she didn't answer. Outside, flashes lit up her face, but she looked calm-free, even. Behind her, Kody and Robyn lingered, trapped in the shadow of what had just been unleashed. When Christine finally spoke to the press, her voice was steady. "The truth always finds its way out," she said simply. "It just takes time." But as the sun dipped below the courthouse steps, one question lingered in every reporter's notebook, every fan's mind. And every headline that would dominate the internet for weeks to come. If these tapes were only the beginning, what else was hiding? Because the court had ordered more dozens of unmarked cases still unopened. And somewhere inside those black boxes, the rest of the story waited, ready to shatter everything the world thought it knew about the sister wives. As the courtroom reconvened after a tense recess, the atmosphere felt electric. Every whisper, every camera click echoed like thunder. The bailiff wheeled the remaining black cases back into the room, each one marked with a simple white number. It was as if the truth itself sat waiting to be unleashed, sealed away in those cold metal boxes. The judge entered, expression grim, and everyone rose. When he took his seat, he didn't waste words. "Counsel," he said, voice firm but weary. "We will proceed with the remaining evidence." Christine sat upright, her composure unshakable. Janelle looked pale, but resolute, while Meri's glare could have cut glass. Robyn, though, seemed barely able to breathe. Her hands shook as she dabbed at her tears. Glancing between Kody and the judge, like a woman trapped between loyalty and guilt. Kody himself sat rigid, his jaw clenched, but the defiance that once fueled him was gone. He looked smaller somehow, like a man stripped of his power. Christine's lawyer stood again, his tone calm but commanding. "Your Honor, this next recording comes from a conversation between Mr. Brown and TLC executives. Regarding the handling of the family's financial records." A murmur swept through the crowd. The tape began to play. Static filled the speakers for a moment. Then Kody's voice emerged, confident, arrogant, unmistakable. "Look, the women don't need to know the details. They signed what they were told to sign. As long as the show stays on air, we're all covered." A male voice, one of the executives, replied, "Kody, we can't hide this forever. If the deeds or funds are traced," Kody cut him off, "then you deal with it. You're the network. You've got lawyers for that. I've got a family to manage." Gasps echoed through the courtroom. The sound of pens scribbling filled the silence. Janelle's face turned white. Meri pressed her lips together, trembling with anger. Christine closed her eyes for a brief moment, not to hide her pain, but to absorb the victory of truth finally spoken aloud. The judge's face hardened. "Mr. Brown, it appears you were not only aware of the financial misrepresentations, but were actively encouraging the concealment of assets. Is that correct?" Kody's lawyer jumped to his feet. "Your Honor, these tapes were never intended for public release." "We object to," overruled, the judge snapped. "The court ordered transparency, and transparency is what we will have." The next clip loaded automatically. This one was quieter, almost eerie. The setting was dim, the audio faint. Kody's voice again. "If Christine leaves, fine. But she's not taking anything. Not the house, not the land, not a dime. We'll make it look mutual." Christine's lawyer paused the video there, turning to face the judge. "Your Honor, this was filmed 2 months before Christine officially announced her separation. The manipulation was planned." The courtroom went still. Reporters stared, fingers frozen on keyboards. Meri let out a sharp exhale, the kind that sounds more like a laugh of disbelief. Janelle wiped away a single tear, whispering, "He planned everything." Robyn turned toward Kody, eyes wide with horror. "You said it wasn't like that," she whispered. "You told me it was just paperwork." Kody didn't look at her. He didn't look at anyone. Christine leaned back, exhaling slowly. The weight of years, the lies, the gaslighting, the public humiliation all seemed to lift piece by piece. For once, she wasn't defending herself. The truth was doing it for her. Then, unexpectedly, the courtroom lights dimmed again as one final tape queued up. One that even Christine hadn't seen. The judge frowned. "What is this?" The screen flickered. The image was dark, the camera unsteady. A voice off-screen said, "Keep rolling. This might need to stay buried." And then Kody's voice again, lower, almost panicked. "If this ever gets out, it's over. The show, the family, all of it. TLC will cut the cord and we'll lose everything." The tape ended abruptly. No one spoke. The silence was total, suffocating. The judge leaned back, his voice low but final. Mr. Brown, I think it's safe to say the court has heard enough for today. As the gavel struck, chaos erupted, reporters shouting, cameras flashing, voices clashing all at once. But amid the frenzy, Christine remained still, watching Kody with the calm of someone who had already won. He didn't meet her gaze. Outside, the courthouse steps were flooded with media. Headlines were already forming. TLC scandal exposed. Brown family secrets finally revealed. Christine, flanked by her lawyer and Janelle, paused briefly before facing the microphones. "This isn't revenge," she said quietly, but firmly. "It's resolution. We built something real once, and he destroyed it with lies. Now it's time for the truth to stand on its own." And as flashbulbs lit up her face, Christine Brown, once the quiet wife in the background of a polygamist empire, stood as the woman who brought it all crashing down. But even then, one mystery remained in those unopened black cases. Labeled 21 through 30, what other secrets was TLC still hiding? Because if the first tapes shook the world, the rest could rewrite everything. The following morning, the courthouse was surrounded by news vans and flashing lights. Reporters huddled against the cold, microphones raised, waiting for the next chapter of what had become the biggest reality TV scandal in years. Inside, the air buzzed with restless anticipation, a mixture of excitement, dread, and disbelief. When Kody Brown walked in, his once confident swagger was gone. His suit hung a little looser, his shoulders slumped. Gone was the man who once controlled the narrative, the patriarch who commanded 4 wives and a national audience. In his place stood a man cornered by his own words, by his own arrogance. Robyn trailed behind him, pale and tight-lipped, clutching a manila folder like a lifeline. Christine and Janelle were already seated, whispering to their attorneys. Meri sat alone at the back, her arms crossed, her expression unreadable. She'd stopped defending Kody months ago. But seeing him now diminished and exposed still seemed to stir something between pity and poetic justice. The judge entered, his tone clipped. "We will now open the remaining evidence boxes," he announced. "Cases 21 through 30. The entire courtroom fell silent. Cameras clicked. Every eye turned toward the table where a bailiff placed the last of the black boxes. Christine's lawyer approached. "Your Honor, these contain unreleased recordings between Mr. Brown and production staff from TLC discussing contracts, image control, and staged storylines meant to manipulate both the wives and the audience." At that, even the judge raised his eyebrows. "Proceed." The first clip played. Kody's voice again, loud, commanding, full of self-importance. "We'll make Christine look unstable. Say she's confused, emotional. If the audience feels sorry for her, fine, but don't let them side with her. I need to stay the face of this family." A stunned silence swept through the courtroom. Janelle gasped softly. Robyn covered her mouth. Christine's eyes shimmered with emotion, not sadness, but validation. She had always suspected that her portrayal had been shaped to favor Kody's narrative. But hearing it out loud was like hearing a confession. The next tape rolled. This time, a female producer spoke nervously. "But Christine's version is powerful. People relate to her. Maybe showing her perspective isn't bad for the show." Kody snapped back. "This isn't her show. It's mine. I built this." The audio cut. The judge leaned forward, tapping his pen. "So not only were you manipulating your family, Mr. Brown, but also the viewing public." Kody tried to respond, but his voice cracked. "It's television. Everyone plays a part. They edited me too." But even his lawyer looked deflated. The damage was done. Then came box 25, the one that silenced even the loudest corners of the courtroom. The video opened with Kody pacing in what looked like his office. He was on the phone, his voice low but furious. "If Meri goes public with those financial records, we're done. I don't care what it takes. Stop her." The voice on the other end replied, muffled, but audible enough to make the words clear. "You want us to shut her down? How? Discredit her," Kody said coldly. "Leak something. Anything. Just make sure no one believes her. The courtroom gasped as the words echoed through the speakers. Meri's hand shot to her mouth. Tears welled in her eyes, not because she was surprised, but because she finally had proof. Proof that the man she had defended for years had tried to destroy her reputation the moment she became inconvenient. The judge slammed his gavel. "Mr. Brown, this is beyond unethical. These recordings depict coercion, manipulation, and intentional deceit." Kody slumped back, eyes glassy. "You don't understand. I was trying to protect what we built." Christine's voice rang clear from her seat. "No, Kody, you were protecting your image. We were just the props." Reporters typed furiously, some shaking their heads, others mouthing unbelievable. Robyn looked ready to faint, while Janelle reached for Christine's hand. The bond between the women, once fractured by jealousy and betrayal, had been reforged by truth. After a brief recess, the final box, number 30, was brought forward. The label read simply, "Confidential Network Correspondence." The judge hesitated. "Are we certain this is admissible?" Christine's attorney nodded. "Yes. Your Honor, it pertains directly to the Brown family's public portrayal and the concealment of their financial dealings." The screen flickered to life once more. This time, it wasn't Kody. It was an email thread between network executives. One message read, "Kody insists the narrative must center around his leadership."